This podcast is sponsored by Field Agent Canada.
Phil, I think you know, and most people who know me know, that I'm not a huge fan of demos. I do love the sampling. I want people to try my product, but I'm not convinced that the demos available today for vendors are very effective. I think they chew up a lot of time. There's a lot of product waste, and I'm never convinced that they're actually targeting the right people.
Okay, Smarty Pants, what do you do that's different?
Buy and try from Field Agent. 300,000 consumers in their shopping panel that goes across the country. These people go to the store, buy your product, have to complete a survey on what they loved, what they didn't love about your product. Get that feedback to you as quickly as possible so that you can start making the right decisions.
I like that. I think it's also really great for products that are really difficult to sample.
Absolutely. Shampoo, laundry detergent, toothpaste, deodorant, endless. And you think about it, Phil, these people get to take the product home into their own homes, into their natural environments, and give this stuff a try. It's affordable, it's fast, it's across the country, all cities. It is awesome.
This podcast is sponsored by Field Agent Canada. You guys know us. We don't endorse anyone or any product or any service we don't believe in. We've been customers of Field Agent before. They're amazing. If you need to drive trial, you need Field Agent Canada. Head to www.fieldagentcanada.com to check it out.
Hey, welcome to This Commerce Life, an unscripted podcast that focuses on the stories behind small and independent Canadian retail and Canadian CPG.
What we try and do is deliver or pull out the story of our guests and give them to you. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly of retail and CPG in Canada. We're filling a need because we think that retail is hard on the best of days, but it's also a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up and make your living.
We also think that the industry, nor the people that inadvertently find themselves in the industry, really understand the industry at all. They don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes.
So listen to us, Phil and Kenny. We'll unravel it for you. We'll give you the story. We'll give you the story behind the story. Doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I wonder, I guess I'm hitting record because I think the thing that he's doing to us that makes me so crazy is that he's making me crazy.
Because he's just playing games, Phil. It's a game. And he's playing with 41 million lives right now, plus the lives of probably 41 million Americans who do rely on us. And it's more than 41 million. This is not a Canadian problem.
So I think that, and I think the thing is like, you know, I've actually said to some friends, like, so I have this coffee group that I hang out with, and the guys in that group, and I've said, I don't want to talk about him. Like, I don't want his name to come up. I don't want to talk about him. I could give a shit what happens on X. Like, I don't want anything more to, because I'm worried about us. Like, and I don't, like, I have lots of American friends. I'm worried about them too. But right now I'm worried about us. Like, so I want us to stop and not be so crazy, not yell at, like, I think there's so many things that we do now because of him. I don't like that we yell at each other. I don't like that we used to be able to talk about like the gaps or the discourse or what's wrong, and now we're not doing that anymore, right? Now we're
playing into his narrative, and there's enough people who just want to go down that path. Like I told, like, you know my feeling. I'm not interested in a rhyming leader, not interested in the leader we have, but I'm definitely not interested in having Dr. Seuss. I'm not interested in the bombastic bullshit of our neighbor to the south. I don't think it helps anybody. I think he's putting a lot of people on edge. Canadians, for sure. He doesn't need to care about us. We're not his country. I'm fine with that. He's penalized in his own country. Their goods are going to go. If you can't pay for these taxes, who pays for the tariffs? His people, not the rich people, the everyday normal Joe. Those people, those are the ones who are going to pay, not the billionaires. You and I are going to get hurt. A lot of other people. There's a lot of companies that are going to get hurt. I told you I canceled orders today on 2 key components because there's no stability in buying from that country with that person running it. It's impossible. And it's a shame because we've bought this product before and it's good product And these are wonderful people. I don't care anymore. I'm going to source it up here because I can't handle this shit of bouncy.
But I think this this frustration, this grit that we all have right now, we're all gritting our teeth because of him. And I think somehow we've got to, one is I think maybe, we start telling our media outlets, look, stop, right? Like just stop. Like, it's interesting to talk about him, but just stop. Right. Like, and then I think that hopefully what continues to happen, because we've certainly heard that governments are getting together all sorts of levels to try and figure out like how to make East-West work or West-East work. And
they're
so
just
even though we've got this 30-day reprieve, what we really need to do is double down on this and get it
absolutely
to a place where we can,
these absolutely intraprovincial barriers. It's the same country.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part, it's easier to ship to the States than it is to ship across the country.
Listen, it's all of those things, right? So the whole reason, when the family went to Hawaii for the first time, where we were trying to go? We were trying to go to Calgary. But it was more expensive to fly to Calgary than it was to Hawaii. So we went to Hawaii, right?
So why wouldn't you go?
Like who's going to be an idiot and not do that, right? But like I think all of these things are things that we have to figure out how to do in this country.
I think you're right. I think it's just this though. I think once we get past these next couple of days of being angry and probably scared, and rightly so, right? This should be a wake-up call for me and for you and for people who listen to us and businesses. You know what? Start sourcing as much as you can from here. Well, get away from the middleman. If there's a middleman, but there's a lot of stuff's imported, get away from their middleman. Use ours.
Yeah, but I think it's important to to me, I think it's important right now that what we say is if you can source local, you can source Canadian, you should. And then if you cannot, then don't source American, I think is the thing. Right?
I think
I'm sorry, American friends, right? So I'm sorry, American friends.
Exactly.
But there's European sources, there's
Asian source, there's South American, there's Central American.
Look at and then like one of my students asked me about this, and I likened us to kind of like three brothers, right? And so it's kind of like Canada, Mexico, and the US we're like three friends, or no, three sisters, three brothers, three siblings, right? And so what's happened right now is one of the siblings, maybe the biggest one, has decided not to play nice or not even to play with the other two, right? So he's actually, what's a great example is he's taken his toys and he's gone home. So I think even there, we have Mexican counterparts that we could go to, that we already have like existing trade relationships with, that are feeling the same thing we feel, right? So that's a great place to go as well, right? Like to be able to reach out and try and get
listen, everything can be sourced everywhere.
Yeah,
there's very little items that are exclusive to certain countries. Yeah, there are. I get it. There are. My tea and coffee does not come from the States. It doesn't need to go through the States. So if I avoid it like the plague, that's my choice. Vitamin C's and things like that come from other countries. If you've got, wheat, we have ours. Yeah, bananas. We don't grow bananas, but nor do they. Maybe your oranges. If you like California oranges or Florida oranges, buy them. I'm not telling you to boycott America. I don't think you are either. But I'm definitely saying I'm going to personally make a lot different choices. I'm choosing. And I will try to find
more attention to where things are being. I mean,
but even my own products
always have, but definitely we're
more so than ever before. This has killed the relation. This has tarnished it forever.
Yeah.
And I don't think he quite understands that. I get it. We're the small brother, but we have stuff. It doesn't matter. Whatever. You know what? I don't want to talk about him. I think what we need to do is tell people, listen, it's not good. For sure, it's not dire straits at this particular moment. It's going to be interesting, believe me. And there's industries that are going to get hurt way more than others. I think, like when we specifically talk about what we do, within the food and CPG space, there are alternatives here and there. Some are going to be more expensive. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to reformulate. Maybe it's time to look at ingredients differently. Maybe you're just going to have to bite the bullet and what you have to buy from the States. And if it's going to be tariff, well, that's the way it is. Then you have to look for other things that maybe not. Maybe we just, maybe you're going to have to charge a little bit more. I'm sorry. This is sort of out of the control of us. The stuff that we can control is what we need to focus on. We canceled 2 components for the teas today that we can buy elsewhere. We are now on the hunt for elsewhere. Period. I will not buy from them. I won't. But am I going to pay a little bit more? Potentially. Is it going to take me a couple extra days to kind of hunt this down? Probably. Is it going to shut down the planet for me? No. It's an irritant. It's agitating, but it's not the end of the world. Right? And I think that's where we got to get to. This isn't the end of the world yet. It felt like a little bit the last couple of days, but it's not.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think we as Canadians need to start taking back some mental space of our own. Like, so
Absolutely.
the fact that he makes us so irritated and so gritty, I think is something
So
that right
angry.
away we need to go, you know what? Like so I am consciously turning off media when they start
Yeah.
talking about anything he has to say. I'm not interested in any clips.
Yeah. Me
I'm not
neither.
interested in
I don't care what he does. I don't
I
care where he
don't
goes.
care.
I don't care what he
Yeah.
says.
So I'll read it because obviously I need to keep an eye on things.
You don't
But
live in a bubble.
I'm, the more I don't do it. I have to say that while I'm not judging, I am judging as I was at the mall and there were people lined up at Starbucks and I gave them a bit of a side eye, right? Because it was like, guys, like
Why? Why? There's so many
I
options in
know,
this country. Why
I know.
support them?
I mean, and look, ultimately it's their choice, right? They choose what they want,
Sure.
right? But I
And you know what? There are jobs on the line, but just so we're all clear, if you
100%,
don't go to them and you go to another coffee shop, they need people, which
yeah,
means they're probably going to hire the Starbucks people because
right.
it's less busy than theirs.
That's right.
So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
We're moving bodies around.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not on that end, so I'm not saying that it's good, but there are alternatives. If you shop more local will have to have more staff. We take it out of the bucket of the guys who aren't local.
Yep.
Why support Starbucks?
Yep.
Americans love Starbucks. Let Americans go. Like, I don't know, Toronto, what Vancouver's like. There's coffee. There's independent coffee bars like fucking every corner.
We don't have as many as you, but we do have them. You've got to work at it a little bit. Like if you live in the Toronto area, you've got to work at it to get local a little bit. We're way more integrated with the US than you guys are, right? Because of
Yeah,
our
you're
proximity
probably
to like,
right.
New York City. No,
Yeah.
I am right, like for sure, right?
Yeah, you're right.
But having said that, there are places to go. There are things
Sure
that
there
you
are.
can do that, you know.
Sure there are.
So I think it's kind of like thinking about I do think that there are other industries that I worry about. Like, so food and beverage, we have options. We have lots of options, right? If you're automotive, not so much, right? Those are kind of very perilous places to be right now because of the, how tightly integrated they are and the just in time sort of stuff. So that's
Again,
worrying, right? Like it's worrying.
I feel terrible for people in different pockets. To your point, like in potentially the service industry, if we stop going American, hopefully the Canadian side will pick up. In food manufacturing and processing is very difficult because we do a lot in the States. Maybe this will incentivize some of the governments to do something, and maybe we can put some more money into that side and we can build our processing. These interprovincial trade bullshit things have to go. It kills me for the auto industry because what do you do?
I don't know.
I don't know what you do.
So
I don't know why.
integrated, but this is the thing where it feels in bad faith because you do look at it and go, look, this is one of those industries where nobody wins, right? Like
No,
really
but
nobody
neither
wins,
side. It's not
like
going
for
to help
anybody,
them.
right? Like there's families on the line. There's like people that have spent careers, and it's a little crazy, right? So
It's not going to work, Phil. You know what I mean? To pay for tax cuts for your big friends, you're killing all the normal everyday people, Canadians and Americans. Now he's going after Europe tonight. You know, I mean, maybe again, I mean, Amelia and I were watching. I told her, so you know what? For 4 years, we didn't watch much news,
Oh, I'm
right?
not watching it.
I know,
I'm
but it's not even 2 weeks
yeah,
practically, and we're overdone. We got
yeah.
4 fucking years left of this shit. Do you know what I mean? Like it's mind bending. You're thinking
But
this is
listen,
unbelievable.
I think that Canadians, maybe this is, maybe it's naive of me, but maybe there's a watershed moment here. So maybe there's a moment where we just
Where
say,
are we?
look, enough's enough, right? Like, and then let's go and find part. Like, if you think of us, we have done some things not so well, right? Like we need to
We've done a
rebuild
lot of this piss poorly.
global. Well, just we need
Now
to
we got to do things
rebuild
differently.
relationships with the rest of the world, right? We don't have
100%.
any, so and we've got to do some of that stuff so that it
That's
mitigates some of this risk,
You know
right?
what though? Like in fairness, you look at it. It's easy. It's closed. It's large. It's right there. In theory, as of last
No, it's
week,
been
we
good
thought we
for a
were
long time.
friends.
It's been good for a very long time,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, really,
You
whatever.
know,
It's been all of it, but I mean, it's been a
but all
rocky
things come to
road.
an end too, right? So you know what? Like maybe we make it through this, maybe we don't, but I don't think Canadians go back to the way it was before. Like I don't think we are gonna be okay with this, right? Like I think we need to go and find new sources. We need to do some other things. We need to go like repair relationships across the,
I
across
think that's. I
the country,
think. In, I
across the
think.
globe, right? So
I think that's probably our biggest thing.
yeah,
I think we really do. I think we really got to go back out there and mend some relationship. And I think we also probably need to create some. Again, I think the fundamental problem with this whole thing is that it's very much like, I don't want to use it because I'm going to get shit for it. It's just a bad relationship when you are with someone that controls the money and doesn't allow you to move, even though we gave them sort of the privilege of controlling the money. It's a really difficult relationship to get out of, because
agree,
what do you do?
agree.
What do you run? You just run for the hills?
Yeah,
It
agree.
doesn't work that way. That's why I think, again, I think if we talk as groups, and I know BC Food and Bev's doing something this weekend, we're going to talk about it. Sounds like there's 300 plus people going to this thing virtually, right? And they're talking about how to manage the terrorists. And I do think some of it, we got to take the scare out of this. Again, the media does a shitty job because they have no fucking clue what's going
Yeah,
on. They really don't. Sorry, but
yeah,
come on, guys.
yeah.
Talk to people in the industry. Stop talking to people on the street. Talk to people who actually might know a few little things and can put some rest to this. Phil and I are very upset. You can tell we're very agitated. It's clear. But
Kenny more
look,
than Phil. Phil's just finished playing volleyball, so I'm breathing a calmer. I've got
and
a
he's had a
little.
shitty night in the hockey pool. There's other things going on that are much more serious right at this particular moment in his mind. So he's
Yeah,
just agitated on multiple levels. But I think, like we've talked today a few times, I talked to John today. We've moved things around. We're looking at different sourcing. We're looking to do different things. We're trying to figure out how to sell more to more Canadians. Like that's it. That's how you got to go, man.
that's what you got to do.
Do what you got to do, bud. Do what you got to do.
But I am quite excited, and maybe I'm cart before the horse, but I am excited to see, kind of, Canadian levels of government, starting to really move right around. How do we just make this thing work, right? How do we go east west? How do we go west east? So that excites me because
I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to do this. I just don't hope. I like what you said at the beginning. I'm kind of hoping they really put pedal to the metal on this one. I mean, we've been talking about for way too many years. I don't know. There's got to be a better way to do this. And clearly, we don't have it.
we don't have it. We don't have it, but I'm sure. I don't know. No, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that we find a way. Just because we really should, like the whole, like, if you kind of lean into who we are as Canadians, like part of it was being able to go coast to coast, right? But we haven't done a very good job of that of late, so we've got to figure that out, I think. So yeah, yeah,
I think so too.
yeah, I think so. Um, yeah, I think if you, I think this is one of those moments. So I don't think it's a. I'm not trying to plug them, but I guess I'm trying to plug them is. I think the one thing that's kind of cool is we have a lot of trade organizations that do some really good things. I know,
Awesome.
in the last podcast we talked about like where you could find products. I think the other thing is if you are looking for sources and people who do things, um, these guys, they know a lot of people like Elisa and James at BCFB, Michael Mikulak at Manitoba, Manitoba Food and Bev.
I
you
just
know
posted it in the post I did.
yeah
I actually put him in there. Let me see if I can find
yeah
that because I think you're right. And I don't think it hurts
like
to
Dwayne and Tammy in
repeat.
Atlantic.
You've got
Well,
Atlantic, you've got the
made
CFIN.
local or the made in Ontario folks. You've got
Yeah,
CFIP, you've got CFIN.
there's
Just
so many.
so many
And I
organizations, right?
think that's the thing. And I think, and if again, not to put, if you check out our LinkedIn, we've put a few posts out there
Yeah,
specifically around this because obviously it's important to us. But things that you should go, if you hop on LinkedIn, look up BC Food and Beverage, Canadian Health Food Association. You can look up the Food Executive Club of Vancouver, which is local, but a lot of great members.
yeah.
Food and Beverage Manitoba, Food and Beverage Atlantic, Alberta Food Processors Association, Retail Council of Canada, Canadian Food Innovation Network, Canadian Federation of Independent Grocers. Phone your MLA, phone your MP. There are people, all over the place that can help. So, I mean, if you want, I mean, we could send the list, Phil. We can put it, attach it to this. But these are all sources that are available
We'll hook the link in
for sure.
the podcast
Those
notes.
are great organizations. People are
Yeah,
helpful, and,
yeah,
and they're all out to do the same thing. They're trying to support brands, retailers, and ultimately the consumers who are going to shop for those brands and those retailers,
that's right. That's right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we work together as a country, like if we actually get unified on this, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to go away, but I think we can get around it. I think it's going to be a little short-term pain. I mean, hopefully not long-term. I mean, we've talked about some industries worse than others. But I think we can I think, I guess ultimately it'll make us stronger. It's just always shitty that you have to go through such pain and torture to get to strength. But I guess sometimes, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Look, I think this is how we start to grow, right? And then,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I guess if you're listening to this, like hopefully you've gotten, if nothing else, I think you get a little calm out of us, right? Like the two of us have calmed down
Well,
a
as
little
calm as
bit.
we're going to get.
But I
Or
do
one of
think
us
like,
anyway.
we gotta stop letting him make us crazy. Like we need to get back to what makes us us, and then
Yeah.
we need to just like do our thing, right? Is that would be probably the biggest thing in all of this is like, we really do. We've got to figure out how to do our thing. We've got to figure out how to not let that guy just, get to us, and make us so
I
crazy.
think that's sort of the trick. I mean, his objective is to do just this. He's done this his entire career. There's no
It is
new
his MO.
MO here.
It
There's
is his
nothing that
MO,
should
right?
surprise
Yeah.
him. It's irritating and agitating. I appreciate that. But you know what? We also have a choice. Turn the bloody TV off. Be knowledgeable. Don't be stupid. Don't put your head in the ground like an ostrich. That's not what we're saying.
No,
Make sure you get it, but you don't have to listen to him. You
no.
don't have to watch his people. You just need to stay informed so we know how to make moves. Right now, we've got, sounds like about 30 days to make changes. I know in my businesses, we are looking at making changes. We can do this. You know why? We control our businesses. He doesn't. He's having an influence on them, but he doesn't control.
I,
We
I
control.
I think the other thing, if I can add something in here, is if the one thing that I think we need to do as Canadians too is we actually need to look within too. Like one of the reasons that we're here is because we're particularly vulnerable at the moment because we don't really have leadership at the highest levels.
Right.
I'm gonna not get into this one because I have a strong set of beliefs in this one, and I don't want to talk about them, but or I don't want to influence because I don't think we're that kind of podcast, but I do think that if nothing else, this is one of those moments that we really need to put some pressure on our system to go look at, like, it's not like these are not normal times and we cannot move at normal paces, right? Like we prorogue the government for all of September or for all of January. You're going, what, like, what are we doing? Like, we can move faster than this, right? It's
We
not,
can.
but
We
we're
can.
not, like, we're moving like slow as molasses. And while we're doing it, we've got this guy who's just, he's kicking the crap out of us, and all we're doing is we're floundering around with a handful of leaders, right, trying to make this thing work. Like
Yeah, and I think the problem is it's I don't want to get into this either, but it's way too political at this moment. Let's do this because we're going to do this, but you know what? Just shut the hell up and let's all work together. It's not about getting someone in office or changing the government today. I don't care if he comes. I don't care if he goes. Whatever. I thought he did okay the other night. Am I a fan? No. Move on.
Yeah, and I do think, but I do think we've got to, like, if you're the Liberal Party, like, get a move on, like,
Get your
let's
shit together.
get
Let's go.
going, right? Like, we need to go, and then there are other leaders, but you kind of, guys, you need to step up and do some leading right now.
Exactly. And if you're the other two opposition leaders, get your shit together. Stop the rhyming. Stop the bullshit on TV.
God
Work
bless
with
the
each other.
premiers, right? But a handful of the premiers are like, I don't know
It's
how
not
to.
all about it's not about all about my neighbor.
My province is he's leading, which is
Worrisome on the best day.
it's
for the greater
I
good.
don't know what to say, actually. I don't know what to say. It's amazing yet surprising yet. Anyway, yeah. I think like with on this one, I think if you guys are like, I don't know if this was helpful. I don't know if we calmed you down, or you kind of listened to this and went, you guys are full of shit. Like, we would love to hear from you guys. Like, I think if you have questions that you want us asking, we don't have we don't have a bloated sense of importance in this, in that we think we have a voice to lend. Whether anyone cares about what we have to say, we have no idea. But I think we are asking questions. So if you have questions that you want to ask, or things that you're seeking answers for, ask us. And then if we can get you an answer, we'll try and get you an answer, or we'll at least float the issue. I think it'd also be really great if you guys let us know what you're really worried about as well in there. Don't you think? Like, I think if people are, if there's one particular thing you're worried about, or one particular segment, whether it's about ingredients, if you're in automotive, I think if you're in automotive, you're not listening to this anyway, but if you are, we are worried about you too. But we're worried about you too, because goodness, right? So yeah.
It's all good. I mean, it's not all good. It's a fucking disaster. But you know what? Let's try to fucking find a way to go to get through this shit.
Yeah.
You're right, Paul. It's what? Again, it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. Like,
I hate to say it's so defeatist, but you know what? It is what it is. I have no control over it. You have no control over it. But I control what I can control.
But I do think that we can manage.
I think so.
How much he gets to us, because I do think
100%.
I think that Canadians, like, as Canadians, we need to just take the conversation back. We need to stop yelling and being angry.
This is his game, though, Phil. Yeah. This is his game. Agreed. This is how he does it. He's an agitator, and this is how he plays. There's not a lot between those two ears. Might be a great marketer. Sometimes I actually do believe it. But this is just to agitate. This is the poke and poke. So that what we do is all we do up here is sit in a corner scared to death. Stand up. Let's look at the situation and let's see what we can do. Interprovincial borders, get rid of them. Let's move goods across. And if we have to get on the phone and you got to start learning another language like Spanish or Italian or German, or South or Chinese or Japanese, and learn it. Let's go. Petter, Fanculo Patter. Let's go.
And I do think that, and I think we've just got to. But I think one of the biggest things is like, kind of that keep calm, right? Like let's go.
Yes.
We don't need for him to make us all angry and upset all the time.
No, because that's all he's doing, and for what?
Yeah.
And I get it, because you and I are like this. We were upset this week, and you were agitated, or you get angry. And again, I think that's the game, though. That's his MO. Why do we fall so easily into it? This one is different. I understand that because we're scared. I get it. But once we stand back and look at this rationally, I think there is play.
Yeah. Not discounting, right? So I think this really we understand, like there's a lot at stake. There's a lot going on, and
yes, there is.
That could happen here. So we get all that, but we also think there's a way around this, and we should be looking at how we manage this just a little bit different.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's tonight. We
just thought it was important that we did this because I think we need to talk about this, but from our perspective as Canadians, not from his narrative, ours.
Yeah. We really need to. We really do need to take back this conversation, and we need to have our own conversation. So while he's blathering on the side, that's fine. He can blather away if he wants.
Right. But we should control the narrative for Canadians, not him, not them.
Yeah. Correct.
Right. Yeah. It's our narrative. So
and then listen, American friends, we still love you. It's just right now you've got a leader that is causing us pain, so we got to do what we got to do. So what do you do, right? We're all like little ants in the in the game. So yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. If anyone is freaked out and you want to talk about it, if you want us to ask things like we said, anything like that, just ping us back. You can reach us at podcast@thiscommercelife.com. You can reach us on Instagram at thiscommercelife. You can reach us on Facebook at thiscommercelife, LinkedIn. Where Kenny is, where I am. We'll put all our links in the podcast notes below. But
and maybe if you're having trouble maybe finding sources, or if you need some contacts,
we're happy to
someone to talk to.
Yeah,
I mean, we could definitely do that. So don't be scared. Like if there's people we know in other countries, I guess. I mean, we're not massively built that way, but we definitely know people who do know people.
We do, yeah.
So if you need some help on that, or just maybe even if it's an alternative, if you're not too sure if there's an alternative or something, I mean, maybe we can help or just give you a different perspective.
Yep. Yeah. Any of those things work. Yeah. So make sure you're reaching out so we can help out wherever we can. So anyway, thanks for listening.
Take care.